We're here from Curio, and as I mentioned, I'm Ethan Fieldman, and you have my email address, Chad's email address. I teach a little bit at the University of Florida, and I've also been a tutor and instructor for over 25 years. I also chair one of Florida's regional workforce development boards, including 6 different counties. So I do a lot of workforce development, and we are based all over the place. But I live in Florida, and Chad lives in Florida as well. But we're all over the place. Now, Chad is a board member for the Florida State University libraries. That's the Seminoles. That's the worst of the two football teams, if you're curious. And the University of Florida Gators versus the Florida Seminoles, Florida State Seminoles. Anyway, Chad's been in education technology for more than 10 years, and for grants and such, he's the main contact. So, what is the number one thing we want you to take away from this presentation? It's kind of a combination of two things. It's that this is free. What we do is our software is completely free, and it's out there and ready for you to play with. Okay, so it's one thing, it's free and you should play with it, but it's kind of two things. But that's what we want to make sure that everybody's aware of, is that you can download our app right now in the Quest Store, and you can start using it. So that's the most important thing we want you to know about. So we're going to jump into some details now. Our agenda is to do an overview of what we do, how schools are using it, so how different institutions across the country and the world are using it, and then we'll do questions at the end. So that's what we're going to talk about. Really want to focus on how people are using XR and AI, mostly XR, across the country using Curio, just because that's what we know. We know Curio, so that's what we talk about. So here's the basics. First, we're going to talk about hardware, then we'll mostly talk about software, because that's mostly what we do, and then we'll talk about training and support. On the hardware side, I just want to mention that we support Quest 2s, Quest 3s, and Quest 3Ss. Only Quest, only headsets. We are pushing the boundaries and pushing the limits of what VR and XR can do, and so we are focused on headsets only. And Quest headsets for right now, anyway. So here's the background, and we do hardware, software, and training, which we'll talk about. The background is that our platform is completely free. It's grant funded. We have large grants and small grants. We'll talk about that. It's research-based. Effective pedagogy is key for us, meaning that we got to teach this stuff properly. Like, this is not about building video games. It's about making things, it's about teaching and learning, in a video game kind of way. We cover all subject areas. Our app is used for whole class instruction, where everybody jumps in with a headset. It's used for group work. It's used for tutoring. It's used for study groups. It's used for all kinds of different things, virtual classroom, etc. You can use it however you want to use it. And we work on things like identifying, incorporating OER, open educational resources. So a lot of folks actually bring their content to us after the 2 or 3 or 5 year grant is over, or after the course is over. The students learning how to build in Unity, because our app is built in Unity. When that's over, they bring us that free content, and then we put it into Curio for them, and Curio becomes the home for that great content. We also act as a matchmaker between developers and subject matter experts, SMEs. So some institutions we work with, they'll have developers, like a student group or a course that wants to build something, and then we might grab a subject matter expert, which is typically a professor from that institution or a different institution or a group of institutions, and we'll build that and then host it for free in Curio forever. So that's what we do. We're just trying to bring content, educational content, to XR. That's our mission. Our mission is just to get the benefits of XR to students. That's all. We have an AI study buddy, and it's an NPC, a non-player character. We call him a study buddy, and we can feed different large language models into his brain and do all kinds of crazy things. We have computer vision. We have lots of cool stuff. But the way that we use AI mostly is we have this study buddy that pops up, and you as an individual or you as a group can talk to the study buddy, and he can answer all kinds of questions. We do have some very interesting patented technology. We actually have more than 30 patents now, but a few of those patents relate to the idea that you can actually hold, let's say, Mars and the Earth in your hands, right? And you can just say to the AI, you can say, how far apart are these? How far apart are these? Now, because the AI, the NPC, the non-player character can see what's in your hands and that you're holding it, it knows that really the question you're asking, a much better prompt for the AI would be, how far apart are Earth and Mars, right? As opposed to these. So a lot of things we do are to make the AI smarter and better by using XR around it. So we combine the best of XR AI together, and I can talk more about that if anybody wants to know, but our vision is that XR and AI together can really work well together. Grants. We do lots of grants all day. It's a huge part of what we do. I'll start with a larger ones, we'll go smaller. So the largest grant they're working on is actually the biggest. It's the largest study in education and virtual reality that's ever happened. It is a multi-year, multi-million-dollar grant in partnership with the Alabama State Department of Education. It's the largest randomized controlled trial that's ever happened in VR education. So about 30 high schools, 30 rural high schools have headsets, and they're doing are getting headsets or have headsets already, and they're doing ninth grade geometry, all the critical standards using content that we built with the teachers and with the Alabama State Department of Education. And the other 30 high schools, rural high schools in Alabama, don't have headsets, and that's the control group. And so we're measuring over multiple years how much better these students do on their exams because they have access to these headsets and this great geometry content that we built with the teachers. So we're super excited about that. It's a very important part of what we do is being good members of the community at large, the XR community. And so we're hoping that that data really shows people in a very large sample size, actually, that XR can make a huge difference in terms of students learning more in high school. So we're excited about that. We focus on middle school, high school, and college, mostly college, but we do a lot of middle school and high school as well. Another grant we have is the Florida Department of Education. We are filming for all 40 colleges and universities. We are filming a 360 VR video with a tour guide, an actual student tour guide, going around the campus and learning about that. So we're pretty excited about that. Imagine students who want to, mostly if they're in Florida, uh, the idea there is that if you hotels, driving, things like that, can really be a pain for people to get to. It's expensive. It's just not fun. And so it solves that problem of visiting colleges for high school students. So we are putting in headsets into a whole bunch of high schools across Florida, paid for by the legislature and by the Department of Education. And we're super excited about it because it allows students to have access by having one headset. What do you do with one headset in a high school? The answer is you can tour all these colleges and universities. So that's going to be really neat. Yeah, so that's pretty exciting. And we hope that other campuses will do it. If you all want to do a 360 video, you're more than welcome to. Your campus will take care of it for free. We'll let you borrow the cameras and we'll put it in there. And then you go into Curio and you can experience all these colleges and universities. Now, I know you're already out of college, so not high school students as much, but it's pretty neat. Another grant that we have is the Jacobs Foundation. I know it says Jacobs Foundation. It's pronounced Jacobs Foundation. That's the largest education foundation in Europe, based in Zurich. So if you ever buy Toblerone chocolate or any Swiss chocolate, actually about 90% of all the Swiss chocolate that's sold, the money actually goes to this foundation that does education. It's kind of neat. So among other things, we're doing dissecting a frog or a cow eye and then a frog, and some other things that we're testing how to do dissection in XR in real high schools and stuff with them. And then moving down to the smallest grants, like we do big grants, we also do very small grants. We have grants as small as $1,000 or $2,000 even to build something with an institution. So a professor at University of Central Missouri who does neurons, teaches neurons. He wanted to do something with neurons in XR, so we worked with him. We built it. It's now fully available for free. You all can try it, and it's a really neat neuron experience. So we do things from $5 million all the way down to $1,000, and it's great. Our goal is to get as much free content out there as we can. We get a grant, we build it, and then it's made available for free from then on. So overall, what we do is we bring learners, builders, and researchers together. I know it's going to be hard to read this, but basically learners, builders, researchers. Learners are students, builders are developers and subject matter experts, and then researchers. We do a lot of research. That Jacobs Foundation, well, I talked about some of the research already, but I can tell you about all kinds of other grants and projects that we're working on. We're working on dozens of projects at any one time, which is pretty exciting. So training and support, there is no training necessary. We have a 60-second intro video when you download the app. We use hand tracking. We do not use the controllers. I keep a controller around as a prop. I don't even know what I did with it because I never use it, but I have a prop somewhere here, which is the controllers. But just goes to show we really don't use these things. But we don't use the controllers because the batteries die and because the thumbsticks might be good for some people, but for other people, they're not so great. So we use hand tracking, which is super simple. You'll see this if you download our app. But there's a button on the inside of your wrist, and the 60-second video just says, press the button on the inside of your wrist, and an iPad pops up, and you use the little iPad tablet to do everything you need. It's super simple, and that's our goal. And if you want to upload your own 3D models, you can do that as well, which is really neat. So you can put your own 3D models in there. You can use the mixed reality, so you can walk around the classroom with those models, or you can do virtual reality. There's different backgrounds, all kinds of neat things. On our website are two really important resources for the community in general. We have the VRIG, Virtual Reality Implementation Guide, which is a collaboration of about 20 or 30 colleges and universities. We just put together everything into one Google Doc, and we keep it updated of unboxing, how to take screenshots, sample lessons, how to do tutoring in VR, like everything you think of, literally everything people can think of for bringing XR to a new campus that doesn't really have XR yet. and everything else in between is in there. So that's pretty nice. And then we keep the repository for the community of all of the XR efficacy studies. So, and people submit them to us, and we just keep a database for free for everybody to have all the studies showing that XR actually works in education. And the reason why we do that is because a lot of campuses are looking for funding internally or externally. They're looking for funding, and they need to show that XR works. And so those studies are there for everybody. So if you ever need to study, they're there. And then our team, Chad, myself, and others, we are available. We are on Zoom and Teams and Google Meet all day long with people, just helping folks. Either we're brand new to XR, we have no idea what it is, but we heard good things. We want to get started at our campus, whether it's a middle school or a college or high school, all the way up till we are huge in XR. We do all these great things, and we want to go after this grant, or we want to build something, or our students want to build something. How can Curio help us? And our job is to do that for you, right? So our job is to bring the benefits of XR to the world and be a good partner. Just be a good, helpful partner for all of you. All right, let's get to the fun part. Talk about some videos here. I'm going to click this, and hopefully it brings it up properly in the thing. Yeah, it looks like it's good. So I'm just going to give you a visual here just because we like to have visuals. So where do we start? We actually start with chemistry. And the reason why we start with chemistry is because the ball and stick models that people buy are very expensive, and a lot of students don't buy them. And XR is a much better way to use your two hands and just kind of scale things, make them bigger and smaller. And you can jump in there with your friends or your study mates, and you can have a study group or a small class, and you can have your periodic table. You can put your single, double, triple bonds together. You can create molecules. We have all the molecules already that you need for general chemistry courses in colleges, but then you can also make your own. It's really neat, really simple to use. You just touch things with your hand, and that's where we started because it saves money, right? Because people are always looking for budgets, obviously, on campuses. And so by building things that actually save campuses money, they have more money to buy headsets and get more XR to their campuses. So you can put PDFs you can put your homework on the board. We have like a chalkboard, put your PDFs on the board, and then you can do your homework and things like that together with XR. So you can show all the bond angles. It's really, XR is a really good use with chemistry, really good use case. For some of you, you're probably seeing that, like, I'm so glad I'm not taking chemistry anymore. But had you had this when you were taking chemistry, you would have enjoyed it more, hopefully. So that's it. Now, the next one I'm going to show you real quick is going to be anatomy. So chemistry and anatomy were the first two things we started because, again, they save money. Anatomy models are these plastic models that are horrendous, resin or whatever they're made of, are horrendously expensive. I'm talking $1,500 just for some plastic pieces of your head. It's kind of crazy, $1,500. So a few colleges, one of them was in Texas, I remember very well. They came to us like, look, we want more money for headsets, but we're buying all these anatomy models. Can we stop buying anatomy models and buy headsets instead? And we said, sure, let's work on this. So we now have the entire human anatomy model in here, more than 4,000 body parts, all labeled, information about each one of them, and you can pull the whole thing apart. You can pick what systems you want. This is the skeletal system, obviously. You can pick apart every tooth, every bone, everything. You can just see all the veins if you want. I remember the first time I saw this model, I said, wow, I had no idea how big the liver was. Like, the liver is a lot bigger than you think it is when you see it in XR compared to the rest of your body. It's pretty interesting. So these are the another system here, circulatory system. And so there's all kinds of cool features around this. And a lot of campuses have moved towards this for their anatomy teaching versus other stuff. You can draw, there's a cross-section tool we added recently, so you can grab a cross-section and look at things from a cross-section perspective. So we're always adding new features based on what we're asked to do by different institutions. Really easy to use, really fun. People love it, so we're happy. All right, next, let's talk about Eastern Washington University. So they have anatomy and physiology labs, and they've logged over 1,000 hours in Curio in just a single semester. And they did some data on this, which is really, really key to what we do, is we want to prove that XR can really make a difference for students. And they found that it really dramatically improved retention, right? The students sticking around, staying in school and continuing on. And so they bring the headsets into the lab, and they do this every week. It's really incredible what they figured out. We're just a software provider. We give them good ideas, but we let every institution do things how they want to do them. So we don't force anybody to do anything how they want. And if students just want to get together, 2 or 3 students want to get together and use Curio for their study groups, great. Or 2 or 3 students want to build something into Curio, great. Love that. And their GPAs jumped significantly, which is awesome. So the key there is that they integrated that with the professor, and the professor wanted to bring in XR to help them. And so they worked together very tightly with that professor. It's part of their grade and stuff like that. One of the things we just are launching right now, the initial version's actually launched. We're building a lot more on this too, is language learning. And this one was done in partnership with University of Southern California, USC. And so we're working with professors
Okay,
there.
frying
Oh,
pan.
sorry. I'll turn off the audio. So you can pick up different objects in this kitchen. It's meant to be a Mexican kitchen, and you pick up different objects and you'll hear the English and Spanish. You've got these kind of flashcards. You press them and all the different objects. You learn all this vocabulary by being immersed inside of a Spanish kitchen. And we'll be adding other rooms, other languages, and actually the next thing we're doing is we're building recipes. Like you're actually going to be cooking, breaking the eggs and stirring and doing all those things. You're going to actually learn how to make. I think paella might be the first thing we do, but we're working on different recipes where you'll be learning all these vocabulary words and being immersed without, having to go do study abroad somewhere, go fly to Mexico or something. So XR is great for language learning and working with the University of Southern California on that. And again, that's all free for everybody because everything we work on becomes free for the world, which is really exciting. So we hope you guys will enjoy that as we keep building on that one. All right. Project examples. So we talked about a few things. Let me just go over a few more here with you. Miami-Dade College, we're doing something called Lab Lockdown and something else called Patient Triage. These are actually student projects where their campus got some of their Unity game engine students that were learning Unity, and they connected them with their professor who was teaching chemistry. Lab lockdown is you're heating up different metals and trying to figure out which element it is on the periodic table. It's like an escape room. It's a really cool escape room. You kind of figure out something and get the code right. You go to another room. You got to figure out the electrons. You go to the next room. It's really a neat experience. And so these students worked with their professor to build this, and then it needed a home. And so Miami-Dade College worked with Curio to put it into Curio, and now it's available for everyone, or about to be available. That one's available. Patient triage is working on it right now, is almost done. It's another example, and it's a medical field, super interesting stuff. Students built that at their campus, and then we're putting that into Curio right now. University of Nebraska Medical Center has a fantastic heart tour that we worked with them on. Highly recommend it. It's in our app. You all can use it. And it's kind of like a roller coaster. If you know the Magic School Bus, it kind of goes back a few years, but Magic School Bus videos where you kind of go through things. You actually kind of take like a slow roller coaster through the human heart, and everything's labeled and you can touch it. It's really, really cool. And you kind of go on a rail car forward and backwards through the human heart and really get to see like red blood cells flying by. And it's pretty incredible. And that was done with some grant funding that they had and some students at that campus as well. And that was done with a clinical nursing professor from University of Nebraska. She took care of all that. And so there's an introductory video from her before you start that experience. Now they're doing the kidney tour. The kidney tour is almost done. And so we're super excited to add the kidney as well because it was a very successful heart tour. Everybody loved it. And so they've done the kidney tour with a new group of students and a little bit more funding there. Cal State University, Long Beach, acupuncture. So they have like an acupuncture 101 course, and you got to figure out where to put the needles and the chi and all this stuff. And you're like a practitioner in an office, and you really get to learn that. And that's actually coming out very soon, just about done. And motor control is another one. So motor control is really neat because as you move your arm in XR, you see the model moving its arm, and you see how all the muscles are moving in the shoulder. As you move your arm, you get to see the model move its arm, and you see how these muscles work together with motor control. Really super interesting. Great ideas from them. We just build stuff. That's all we do. We host it and build it and help everybody, but we don't come up with the ideas. And so they did a fantastic job, those professors there. And so you'll be seeing that soon. So these are just some of the projects we're working on right now. We like to kind of spotlight some of the things we're doing at any one moment. And like I said, we have dozens of other projects going on, but we thought these were kind of some interesting ones we could spotlight for you today. So again, our biggest goal here is to make sure that everyone knows that the Curio app is free. And I'll mention that in a moment about how to download that, but it's free. You can use it now, however you want to use it. And then we love collaboration. So if you have ideas of new features, we can put on a roadmap. If you have even a small grant that you want to build something, we can build it for you. If you have students that want to build that know a little bit of Unity, they can build into Curio as long as we make sure that it's high quality content. So we always hook up those students with a professor because you can't just build whatever you want into Curio. It's got to be with a subject matter expert. It's got to be really high quality content. And the reason why that is because we every month, if anybody's interested, we have a newsletter every month. And the newsletter goes out and just says what all the new free content is, all the new stuff that we've put out into our app, which automatically updates on your device anyway. But it's a newsletter that goes out and it says, here's all the new content from all these different universities. And so because we are already on the devices inside of middle schools, high schools, and colleges, everybody trusts us as the gatekeeper to make sure that it's very high quality content that goes in. And so it's not just like build your own random content. Like obviously there's apps you can do that. They're great. You can draw, you can do graffiti, you can do all kinds of cool things on your Quest. But ours is meant to be high quality content, high quality educational content for students in middle school, high school, and college. And so that's why we are the gatekeeper to make sure it's high quality content. So just contact us and we'll find you a partner or something like that to build out that content. So I don't want to scare anybody away. I just want to make sure you can't just go in there and start building stuff and it goes free to the world. We do have meetings about that first with you. And then in terms of the app itself, I want to mention we're in a funny time period right now because we actually have two apps at the moment. We have a new app and an old app. The app that you want to look for right now is Curio XR. That's the name of the app. Actually, I'll just put it up here. Why not? That's why I like to keep my slides able. So Curio XR is the app that you want to be using. There is another app right now, not the Curio app. We have another app called Curio right now that we're building some new stuff and making it, and we're going to be sunsetting the Curio XR app and moving to the Curio app, but not yet. Unfortunately, Meta doesn't have a very good way to do this, where you can kind of have one but not the other. It doesn't work very well. You have to have two apps out there in the world. So I don't love that, but my point of all that is to use the Curio XR app, and then you can go to our website and get on our newsletter if you want to get the newsletter every month, and we'll let you know when the Curio app is fully ready. Right now, it's kind of like in beta testing, but it's a better, newer, cooler app. And Meta doesn't let us change the name of our app. This is kind of crazy, but it's true. You're not allowed to change the name. So we have to create a new app called Curio to change it from Curio XR just back to Curio. So anyway, the app you're looking for is this one. You're not looking for the Curio app. I just want to make sure if you get, it's not bad. I mean, you could use this app, but it doesn't have all the content. It's not really ready yet. But that's the situation with that. So I'll strike it through to make it really clear. So that's the free app on Quest, Quest 2, Quest 3S, Quest 3 full. And that's what we do all day. Chad, anything you want to add before we take some questions?
For the first time, you actually hit all the presentation points and did not go off script. So very good job, Ethan.
And on time. Normally, I go way too long. I will be the first to admit because there's so much stuff we're working on. But anyway, testament to Chad who helped make sure we didn't go over too much because we usually get a lot of questions and we like to answer questions. I'm an educator by trade. I would much rather answer your questions than give a PowerPoint presentation, or Google Slides presentation. But it is what it is. So we'll open up. I don't know if you guys open up your mics or chat or whatever is easiest for you. But we'd love to answer any questions that you have because we have a very fun job all day on this, as you can imagine, and we like to talk about it. So any questions, thoughts, concerns, ideas, we would love to hear.
Can you talk a little bit about this multi-year study? That sounds really fascinating. That might shed some light on things that no one's aware of, especially given the fact that it's over several years.
Absolutely. So yeah, I'd love to. This is a federal grant from the U.S. Department of Education to the Alabama State Department of Education in partnership with Curio. We were selected. It's a EIR mid-phase grant is what it's called. EIR, Education Innovation Research, which I've been a part of some of these grants before in my career. But so it's federally funded to the state, and the researcher on the project is WestEd, which is a big nonprofit with 700 people across 13 states. So WestEd is doing the research analysis. We're doing the software and building all that and the headsets and all that kind of stuff. And then the Alabama State Department of Education is obviously helping us find the schools and all that type of thing. And one thing, it reminds me of one little thing I did not mention actually. On the headset side, if anybody schools came to us and said, hey, headsets are kind of overpriced for some reason. So we're actually now a reseller of the headsets. So if anybody ever needs headsets, we actually give you the wholesale price. So we don't mark them up or anything. Headsets for some reason are for some reason, some of the companies selling them charge too much. So anyway, I'm just letting anybody know you can use your own headsets, or if you need to buy headsets it has to be for a school, then we get the wholesale price and pass that along so that schools get better pricing. Anyway, so we are supplying all the headsets and the software and everything in the study. And the idea is this. The idea is that XR and AI together can make a huge difference for students. XR is great. You can bring students different places. They can try different things. They can put together triangles and geometry that you really can't do in 2 dimensions. You can do some really incredible things. We're having them build bridges and understand how bridges are built with triangles, how that like trusses, and they're actually building their own bridges and stuff in VR. So we're doing all these great things with VR, but what happens when you have a question? When a student gets stuck, what do you do? And that's where the AI NPC, the non-player character, comes in, the study buddy, as we call him. And so there's a study buddy at every station ask questions to, and the study buddy knows exactly what's going on. So I don't like to use the word tutor because the word tutor is used in a lot of strange contexts in the world. Sometimes people think a tutor means that you're behind, or you're struggling, or you have lots of money, or something like that, and so you can afford an expensive tutor. Like this is not our study buddy is a study buddy. He's there to help students along the way. So XR with AI there to answer questions works really well. Now think about AI without XR. If you have AI without XR, you're typing back and forth to ChatGPT or some other LLM, or maybe you're talking back and forth, but there's no grabbing things, moving things, vision, computer vision. You don't have any of that. So AI without XR is a problem. So if you put XR and AI together, and what we've done is we've created, there's still one or two left to do, but there's basically 13 modules, 13 individual learning experiences. Each one takes about 10 or 20 minutes approximately. And the students, the teachers have all these headsets in the classroom, 3 to 5 headsets per classroom. And the students are at stations. So they do some stuff on paper or with their teacher. And then some of them are at a station with the VR headsets, with the Quest headsets. And the students are in the headset and they have chairs that they can spin around on the chairs. So they can kind of look around because in high schools, especially, they like to be seated, but they like chairs they can spin around. So they can, it's better for XR instead of sitting at a desk and not being able to turn. And so that you see 3 to 5 kids in each one of the classrooms. And once a week or twice a week, they put on the headset. The teacher tells them which one of the XR experiences to do based on where they are in their semester or their year of school. And it's just reinforcing the 15 critical standards in geometry that are the Alabama State Department of Education believes are the most important pieces that students should be learning in geometry. And there's no cost to any of the schools. Obviously, it's all federally funded through the state. And we're making it happen. We have full-time staff there. And anyway, that was a long answer to a short question. So did that answer your question?
Yeah, I'll follow up actually. I have some perhaps sidebar questions on it, but yeah, fascinating. Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'll just mention just seeing students like in real time going through an experience and they run up to their teacher and they say like, I get it. Or like, they're so excited they went up in a hot air balloon and they got to view their garden that they just worked on. Like seeing that, it's been super cool. So we love working on that grant. All grants are equal in our mind, but
Right,
I do
right.
love seeing smiling kids.
I'll tell you, it's funny. They call them the goggles. The teachers all tell us. The kids say we get to visit the classrooms too, which is great. But as Chad mentioned, but the teachers, somehow every kid in Alabama says, when do we get to put the goggles back on? Like they see them as like ski goggles or something like that. Like the goggles, right? That's the word that they use. It's kind of interesting. So we're bringing the best technology in the world to kids who have, in many cases, these are rural Alabama districts. They have, next to no technology. So it's a huge jump for them. And we're having to figure out every little detail you could ever imagine about large scale implementation. But yeah, we're super excited. And the feedback has been incredible. The kids want to be in XR as much as possible. So that's a great thing. And then I saw that Bruce, and obviously, by the way, Chad and I, this is literally all we do all day. This is our full-time jobs. So if anybody has questions, email us, call us, we can set up a Zoom. We love talking about this stuff. We're happy to share it. We obviously, part of our job is to disseminate the research. So we love doing that. I know that Bruce asked a question in the chat. I'm going to answer it, which is, how long does it take to build a Curio? How long does it take to build a Curio XR app with your developers? Is there a long waiting period to get a project started? So there's not individual apps that are built. It's content pieces like learning experiences or tools or adventures or whatever the case may be that's built into the Curio app. Because you don't want to have to go whitelist your app in all these different schools. We've already whitelisted our app in all these schools, like middle schools, high schools, colleges. So the nice thing is that when your content is built in Curio, it automatically overnight goes into all the headsets without everybody having to get their app whitelisted by every school district in America, of which there are 13,500 school districts in America. So it makes sense for there to be one app that gets done with the IT and security audits and all that kind of stuff. And then all the content comes in through that app. So anyway, just to make sure everybody knows how we do this, it's one app, is the Curio app. And then in terms of building stuff into the Curio app, though, we give you, you can do whatever you want in the Curio app. We're not like restrictive on that. It doesn't take very long. We've had projects get done in 3 weeks. We've had projects, we obviously have multi-year projects too, but I would say a few weeks in general. Depends what it is. It depends if we need to build it or if the student developers are building it. Every like at Syracuse University, they got 40 students and they broke them up into groups of 5, and every student group did a different UI UX project with us. So that was a full semester project because the professor wanted it to be a semester project. Other times, University of Nebraska Medical Center, it was a 1 year to build the Heart Tour because they do a 1 year design project to seniors. So we're very flexible, but there's not much of a waiting period. We've got a lot of projects going on at the same time, and we can handle a lot. But yeah, it's a great question. And like I said, we're happy just to jump on Zoom and talk for a half hour about the project, and we can let you know, when we can get it done, and all that type of thing. Other questions? Oh, and Unity, by the way, I know Heather put a heart next to Unity. The reason why we're in Unity, very simple reason, is because that's what most campuses are teaching. And we rely on student developers, not exclusively, but we rely a lot of our projects are with student developers. And so we're in Unity because that's still what most campuses teach. So nothing against Unreal, but that's just what most campuses are teaching. So that's why we went with Unity. Other questions?
Okay, so we have a question from online in the Q&A. Let me read it to you. Hi, I'm Travis, a student at Bellevue College working on an immersive, inclusive experience for a local historical museum. How do we design the, quote, first contact with immersive technology so it is inherently inclusive, especially for visitors with no prior technical experience? What strategies help create a welcoming environment where the value of the experience is immediately clear, turning hesitation into genuine curiosity and excitement?
That's a pretty fantastic question. We could probably do a whole day seminar on that question. There are a lot of principles to get that done. A lot of principles, from the inclusion side to the at first contact, getting excited. The way that we address that is that people come to us with an idea typically or a project they're working on, and we have a meeting and we just talk about all the different pieces that we know, what we've learned, obviously, because it's what we do all day, and as well as their goals and what they want to get done. And there's just a lot of pieces to that. I mean, it's hard to answer that in one quick question because there's a lot. One of the things that just comes to mind, just so you know, is that every experience or adventure, whatever we build into Curio, we have an introductory video from the person who built it, who worked on it, to say, this is why I built it, this is why it's exciting. I'll give you an example. At the University of Nebraska Medical Center one that we talked about, the heart tour, this professor, who's a nursing professor, she's dealt with heart disease for many, many years, and she starts the video by saying, a quick video saying, before you start the heart tour, I want you to know that heart disease kills this many people in America every year. It's preventable with this. We think that, education can help, and that's why we built this for our students, and we're excited for you all to have that as well. And I think that's kind of the hook that gets people in. This is good quality content from somebody who cares, and this is why it's relevant and important. So that video is kind of our intro video, and people could skip it, but we think that's a big piece of this, is people knowing where the content comes from, what the goal was of that content, and what you're trying to address. So that's kind of how we get people hooked in. And then ease of use is huge. It's got to be easy to use. Exciting, good graphics, huge. Optimizing for the headsets, huge. I mean, there's so many pieces. Our jobs are complicated. I mean, honestly, like, building it for you all to do this all day, if you're interested in XR, is complicated. I mean, it's hard. It's not like building an iPhone app or something. There's a lot to it, especially in 3D space. So again, there's a lot to it, but we're very intentional about that. That's why we approve all projects first, to make sure they're going to be high quality projects, and that we can give resources to those projects. But yeah, it's a great question. We're very intentional about it, I think, is the key. Planning, being intentional, having experts. That's how you nail these projects. Other question?
Thank you. We have another question. So it seems to me that like a lot of what you're doing, maybe all of what you're doing, is grants funded. And I'm wondering if you can speak to the grants environment right now, particularly in higher education and for XR, and what that environment looks like and what it looks like, let's say, 2 years into the future.
That's a fantastic question. We do have to track that. So I have my opinions, and I'm pretty candid about this. There used to be an enormous amount of money, billions of dollars, for educational research from the federal government. Whatever your politics are, Doge killed a lot of it, the vast majority of it. A lot of it came back, but not that much. Oh, sorry, some of it, not a lot of it, came back. So there is a lot less educational research dollars, and we only live in the education field. So unfortunately, when it comes to some of the other things, we're not experts. I'm just don't want to speculate too much. But from the educational research, there's a lot less money, unfortunately, at the federal government level. The states are a little bit different. Every state's different. There's 50 of them. They're all different. Some of them are very excited about XR, some are not. At the school district level, at the college level, there's a ton of interest in XR, tons of interest. And what we find is that there's pockets of funding in various places. So, for example, a department, the accounting department of one school may have $10,000, $20,000. They want to build something to get their students more excited about accounting. And that's the kind of stuff that people find us with. There are some school districts that have RFPs, requests for proposals, where they want somebody to build something for them for those school districts. On the whole, there's good news and bad news. The bad news is that it's not what it was a couple years ago. Like there's just less money out there. I mean, the economy in general, funding for higher ed in general is certainly down. So that's the bad news. The good news is it's scared away a lot of people. And so there's a lot less people going after some of these grants. So we definitely find that the competition to win the grant is also much, much lower than it was before, just in terms of the numbers of people going for those grants. And the other good news is AI. So we have a GPT that we've trained that if anybody has a grant they want to go after, our GPT will write up is very well trained on the grants that win, and it will write the entire grant response. The whole entire grant proposal will be written for you in 10 seconds, and it's going to be really good. And then you can edit it. It's got all the studies in it. It's got all the research, and then you can edit that and put in those grants. So you can apply for grants much, much more quickly and without having to think too much about, well, is this one worth the 100 pages we have to write on this? Is this one worth 20 pages of time? Now it's like, boom, it's written for you using our our GPT that we've trained, which you can all use. And so it's kind of a good news and bad news situation there. We're still very busy. So from our perspective, it's okay. But on the whole, the total amount of grants out there is certainly less than it has been over the last couple of years.
And then offline, if anyone wants to talk to Ethan and I about the 5 to 7 words that you cannot mention in a grant, or they will get deleted, especially on the federal level, we're happy to tell you our experience from that.
There are absolutely certain words you do not want to put into a grant application at the federal level and in certain states. That is absolutely the case. Yeah.
I have a quick question. Thank you. So we have Title II coming around, and so accessibility is an issue for a lot of educational institutions. And what type of challenges are you facing with that, and how are you meeting those challenges with this tool?
You guys, these are great questions. I mean, a lot of chat in my job is, we just heard about VR, we want to get into it. How do we get headsets? And like starts there. You guys are, 100 steps ahead of that, which is wonderful. So in talking about Title II and just, in general, into, effective instruction and professional development and, accessibility and all these types of things, we see it from a very high level. Ease of use obviously gets people in, lower cost gets people in, and then true accessibility, which I'll talk about in a moment. But ease of use, low cost, and then accessibility. That's kind of 3 major things that we kind of, as an organization, we think about, if that makes sense. Because if it's not easy to use, nobody's going to want to use it. And if it's not affordable, I don't care how good it is, nobody's going to use it. And then if it's not usable, nobody's going to use it. So that's kind of how we think about things. In terms of cost, by the way, again, our role is to have a free app, because just if anybody cares, there's a major problem with buying headsets, which is people don't want to buy headsets as a one-time grant funded or other funding and then get locked into ongoing fees. Because usually when you have a grant, it's a one-time grant for technology. It's not an ongoing grant. Usually, you don't usually get a big grant in the beginning. It's also an ongoing grant. That's not usually how things work. So people don't want to spend the money on these headsets because the headset by itself doesn't do anything. There's no content. There's basically effectively no content. It's not like buying a Chromebook. When the school buys a Chromebook, they've got Khan Academy, they got YouTube for Kids, they got all kinds of resources on the web that are free. Yes, there's a web browser in the Quest, but that doesn't really count. So, buying computers is great. You can buy computers and deal with the software licenses later because there's so much free content. So our goal is to get people into XR by having that first layer of free content, enough free content that it's worth it to get those headsets. So anyway, that's why we really care about free. That's why we're so focused on no license fee, because we want people to get the headsets, which is the biggest barrier to XR right now, is getting headsets, and then have that. Okay, so on true accessibility, to use that term in its kind of one of its definitions, just and obviously low income students and is, I just talked about the cost and everything. For students with disabilities, we are doing research studies and all kinds of things for students with disabilities. I mean, the headsets, obviously, if you're blind or low sighted, the headset is not good, right? But for students with disabilities, we have worked with, I think Syracuse actually was one of the first ones, that their disabilities office basically did this whole analysis and said, you know what? Yes, for certain students, they can't use the headsets right now, but the benefit for other students with disabilities is so unbelievably great that it's worth it to allow this for students with disabilities. So anyway, so we think about accessibility from an income perspective, from an ease of use perspective, from a disabilities perspective, and gloves are coming out, getting cheaper. The gloves where you can actually feel, feeling objects. So allowing students that are blind or low sighted to be able to feel things is going to be here in the next couple of years. We're super excited about that, about bringing better education to students that are blind, and then students who are deaf or hard of hearing. Obviously, you can do all kinds of amazing things with real-time captions and things like that. So, we think a lot about accessibility from a true disabilities perspective. And I know that wasn't your whole question, but that's kind of what we do. Does that answer the question? There's a lot on Title II to talk about there, but.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
That's great. Thank you for that. And
Yeah.
I think we have one more question.
Quick question. How can we get access to that trained GPT that you spoke about for grant applications?
Just shoot us an email. That's the easiest way. Yeah. I think that you have to have, so currently we have it on ChatGPT, we're adding on Gemini. To use a custom GPT, you have to pay the $20 a month or have the, whatever that's called, pro version or whatever it's called for ChatGPT. We might be hosting our own just to get out of that paywall if it's helpful. But for now, if you just shoot us an email, we'll get you access to it. Yeah. We're always training it, always making it better, but it's really good. I can tell you that there's some institutions, and I won't name names, but they have just used it and not made much in the way of edits at all, and they have won those grants. So it's quite good, quite good. Other questions?
So it looks like that's all the questions that we have at this time. But again, if you have any more questions, well, you can email Chad and Ethan directly at Curio XR, or you can send them to us and we'll pass them along. So, and I just want to also say that this has been a great partnership working with you. And if anybody's interested in seeing some of the things that we've built, then you can go to the Bellevue College XR Lab YouTube channel, and we have a few videos up there as well. And so you just go to YouTube and type in Bellevue College XR Lab, and that should come up for you. Anyways, so thank you so much for taking the time to join this conference. Oh.
I just want to say one last thing, which is we'd be remiss if we didn't say thank you to you all for a lot of the 3D objects and other stuff that we built was because of requests and working with you guys. So the world has a lot better 3D models and things like that in Curio because of the work that you guys asked us to do and worked with us on. So we appreciate that, and the world's better off because of it. So anyway, you guys are doing great work there. Incredible work, actually. We appreciate you having us, and we'd love to be in touch with everyone. So just shoot us an email.